traffic, Sportsman Flight, departing 36 via right crossing, departure Bentonville.
Trigger Gap was one of the very first projects that the RAF became involved in down here in Arkansas. It's a project that was a partnership between Recreational Aviation Foundation, the Nature Conservancy, and the Walton Family Foundation, which all worked hard to bring this together. And today, we're on our way out to build a pilot pavilion, a really cool shelter, sort of a follow-on to what we did last summer up at Ryan Field. It's the culmination of a lot of people's efforts. It's really, we're going to build a pavilion, but really what we're building is more community and more reason to be out here and enjoy this special spot. And for those of you who have not been to this part of Arkansas, you really ought to get a chance to come down here. It's pretty spectacular.
The history of this type of flying, most of it is connected with the Intermountain West, Idaho, Montana, Utah, some in Oregon, some in Washington. So people from the East Coast that want to do this activity would have to get in their airplane and fly a couple of days and get out to that side of the country. And so we always were looking for ways to build more inventory of those types of airstrip moving east. And so we started looking at the Ozark Mountains, which was an ideal scenario. And there was a lot of eagerness to have this type of an opportunity, a place to fly to and camp out and go fishing and hiking and mountain biking and whatever you might want to do. And this fit all that.
What you see out here is a beautiful hilltop strip that has a, literally, if you want to take a vista, it's 360-degree view with this great strip on top of this mountain.
We've got a work party going on here and we're working to build a pavilion. The work party involves about 35 people that came from 12 different states volunteering to work here and help us build a pavilion that we started about 2 years ago in the design for the pavilion.
Idaho and Montana have always been the mecca for backcountry flying, and Arkansas, northwest Arkansas, the Ozarks are becoming the second mecca, and who knows, it's been exponential, what's going on here, and sometimes you don't even realize you're in the middle of something big when you're in the middle of something big.
This thing is, it's everywhere in the United States. So I mean, there's not a state anywhere that they don't have somebody in there that's the pilot guy, strips that they're involved with. And I think that what the RAF became is the go-to organization for if you don't know where the next step is, if you've got a small airport that's stagnant or not going anywhere, or you'd like to see it help the community, RAF is now the tool to get there.
One really remote area with an airstrip installed allows more kind of even, uniform access rather than people being concentrated in one spot. And if you want to access some specific point, you can fly there and you don't have to have a road cut to get to that remote spot. So in that sense, yeah, it's lower impact.
It's really grown into something that's fun to watch.
Less than a dozen guys that started the RAF, now there's over 10,000 members coast to coast.
But we all come together with a common love for what we do, which is recreational flying, a common love for being together in the outdoors, and then share all the extracurricular things we all do adjacent to that. And it just becomes, again, the family or the community that comes together and orients themselves around a project and just continue just building their relationships and that strength together.
Well, we've had a busy day of bringing a structure that was made out in Montana and erecting it to serve the pilot community here in Bentonville at Trigger Gap.
So this has been going on 5-6 years, and you look back on it and you go, wow, where we started and where we are today is absolutely phenomenal.
The airstrip here is a really special collaboration with the Nature Conservancy and the RAF and a few other local donors that have all made this happen. And for us here in Arkansas, we're really thrilled to develop the network of strips that we have here centered around Trigger Gap. It's really been a partnership that they're as proud of as we are.
Trigger Gap was a blank field on top of a mountain, 5-6 years ago. And people don't realize how long people worked to try to establish the relationship with the Nature Conservancy, put the funding together, get the volunteers organized, and go through all the effort of what you see now.
We've had a long history of working with RAF at the Nature Conservancy, and this project at Trigger Gap has been such a gem for this area and for the region. And now adding the pilot shelter and restroom is just going to make it that much more special. We're super excited about it.
I would love to see the continued growth of the RAF and somehow reach out to the people and tell them, be respectful of everybody else and make sure that the future generations have the same capability of seeing the great outdoors that you do. Love to see young people get involved in aviation, and particularly some of the guys that hung it up for one reason or another.
I think my major goal is to make sure that this culture that we have of being a volunteer organization, inclusive of everyone, it really doesn't matter what you fly to get here, it's what you do when you get here. What we care about is getting a bunch of good people together and enjoying our activities and having a good time.
It's been an amazing experience, and I think the RAF's living up to its mission, which is creating, improving, and restoring backcountry airstrips.